I have a bit of a fetish, which is for the past 3 years, I've spent hundreds of hours reading about millionaires through books like these and also watching dozens of their podcasts, also that I could reverse engineer their success into my life. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the three biggest lessons that I've learned after studying all these millionaires and how I use their advice in my own life. And if you don't know me, by the way, my name is Atharv, and I just try and make these videos to help younger me with things like fat loss, getting rid of his addictions, and just getting ahead as a teen like we all want to do. So there are three rules that I've learned from these millionaires, and the first and most important one is that they don't actually follow the same script that you've been spoon-fed your entire life. So what is a script? You know that, right? Go to school, get good grades. Go to university, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on that, get into debt, get a job, and glaze your boss for the next 50 years trying to get that promotion. Put your money into all those different investments, and in 50 years, you can live poor and then die rich. That's what you've been told for your entire life, and it makes sense, right? Because that's what everybody else around you is doing. But just let me ask you this, right? You've seen the people around you, most of them are following the script. However, do any of them actually get rich? Just think about it. Most people that I've seen around me go through that script and spend 50, 60, maybe even 70 years of their life in that job trying to get rich. And even after all that time, they still fail. Which is weird. What? If everybody's telling you to do this, why isn't it working? That's what I actually asked myself, and about 2 years ago, I read this book right here called The Millionaire Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco, who was basically just this guy who made a software business, and he got successful after going through that script himself. And what he told me, which was really interesting, is that the rich people that you've seen, they don't get rich going through that same script you've been told. They get rich through something called entrepreneurship, also just called business. Basically, how that works is that you've been told for your entire life, oh, the only way to get rich is if you invest $50 a day into the S&P 500 and you'll get 50 million in 40 years. Either you've been told that or you're going to be told that shit in a few years. But the problem is, investing $20 a week into some fund for 50 years won't actually give you that much money. And even if it does, you're sacrificing your entire youth so you can live poor and die rich. You've probably heard of this, like the same stuff that all these people say, like, oh, you should go and don't spend money on that coffee, invest it into this business, and you'll make all that stuff, right? But the rich people that you've seen don't actually get rich doing that. In fact, everybody who tells you these same lies about the script is 2 paychecks from broke. So why are you listening to them about advice on how to get rich? Think about it. If you were to walk into a gym right now and there was like 2 personal trainers, right? One of them was this obese dude who he couldn't even get up from his chair without his mobility scooter. And then there was a jacked black dude. You would go to the jacked black guy because he knows how to get jacked. He has done the thing and he knows how to do it, and he can tell you that. But instead, we go down the route of listening to the obese person. We listen to people who are honestly 2 paychecks from being on the street, telling you, oh, you should invest in this new index fund, whatever this stuff, right? But that's not how those people got rich. And after reading, again, countless books from these millionaires, from genuine leaders in the money world, I have learned that the best way to invest your time and your money as a teen isn't just into stocks, but investing in yourself. What I've learned from reading about these millionaires is that instead of, again, going through the same script, they invested in themselves and, more importantly, into an entrepreneurial venture or a business system that they used to get rich. And of course, I'm not some millionaire, so I can't tell you the exact step-by-step process to get rich. But the mindset I want to give you is simply, the rich got rich not because they followed what everybody else was doing, but they did the exact opposite. While everybody else you saw was patiently waiting 50 years to get rich and sacrificing their lives and freedom, these people instead grinded to try and create a system that would make them wealthy later, while everybody else was just wasting their entire lives on fucking TikTok, watching 10 years of TikTok throughout their entire life. These people didn't do that. And so the real sort of rule that I'm telling you is, of course, business, but more importantly, stop listening to people that you don't want to be like. Because as I said from that gym analogy, you wouldn't listen to the Jack Black dude. Sorry, you would listen to him. You wouldn't listen to that obese person. And so you want to reprogram your mind through instead listening to rich people. And so the action step I'm going to give you is that on the bottom description of this link, first of all, there's that Discord server, which is basically my personal sort of fat loss addiction server that you can join if you want. But then there's also a bunch of links that I posted to these millionaires like Hamza, Alex Hormozy. These are people who, no joke, have made millions of dollars and are now teaching people how to do that. And so my action step for you is to start watching some of these people, because what we want to do is brainwash ourselves with the ideas of millionaires so that we can instead end up like them and not like the broke people you see around you. So that's the first step, right? You need to basically not listen to people you don't want to be like. The second rule that I'm going to give you, and this is something that changed my life forever, was from this book called The Millionaire Fastlane again, which is you need to take 100% responsibility over where you are in life. So I remember, oh shoot, my light just fell, hold up. This is some quality production. Anyways, I remember reading this book about a few years ago when I was this fat little Genshin Impact player who was overweight, addicted to things like video games, junk food, scrolling, all this stuff. But worst of all, I never took accountability for that. In fact, every single time, for example, I'd be fat shamed, I'd just say the stuff like, oh no, it's not my fault I was rich. It's because those companies, they made it so addicting. I'll stretch out later. It's not my fault. And the problem with doing that is because I never took responsibility for myself and said, yeah, I'm fat, it's my fault, I never made any progress. Because what I learned from studying all these millionaires is that when you make an excuse, whether it be about being fat, not having good grades, not being where you want to be in life, you never get anywhere. Because when you make the excuse, you're giving power over to an external force. When I would say shit like, oh no, it's not my fault I'm fat, it's a junk food company's fault, I gave power over to them, meaning that I myself told myself basically, okay, I don't have any control. It is their fault, and therefore I'm not going to do anything about it. When you do that, sure, it feels all nice because you get to protect yourself and that feeling that you have of like your ego. But what I learned is that I only started to make progress in life when I took responsibility for where I was. So the way I like to think about this is wherever you are in life, you chose to be there. When I was that fat kid addicted to video games for 10 hours a day, it wasn't anybody else's fault but me. I was the person who chose to eat the junk food when I knew it was bad for me. I was the person that chose to skip that workout because, oh, it's just one day, I'll work out tomorrow. And after doing that thousands of times, I was here right now, fat and unhealthy and underconfident, right? And if you can relate to anything I just said, I want you to have this new mindset that I've learned from these millionaires, which is the mindset of cause and effect, which means that everything you do has an effect on your life. If you eat the junk food today, the effect will be tomorrow you will be fatter, you will be less confident. If you choose to waste your entire teenage years on TikTok, on YouTube, on gaming, in 5 years, you will have the effect of not being as successful as you want to be, right? And this sounds really brain dead and common sense, but the thing is, nobody actually follows this. Look at the people around you, all your friends. Everybody who's around you is probably doing the exact same thing that I used to do, which is to blame other people. But when you do that, you give away power over yourself. And so the main thing I want to get across to you is that, bro, you're not going to get successful. You're not going to achieve the goals you want by accident. You're going to have to take the responsibility to do them. There is no school teacher that's going to force you to get fit. Daddy is not going to come to you and expect that you get rich or successful. you're gonna have to do that. And when I learned this, it made so much sense. It just clicked, like, wait a minute, it's all my fault. And that's okay, because if I do the things that will make me successful, that will also be my fault. You have control over where you want to be. And after studying all these millionaires, this is the biggest thing that seems to differentiate themselves from the broke people in your life. So that's the second thing. You need to take responsibility. And the third and final thing I have learned from these millionaires is that they actually value their time. And this genuinely blew my mind, because I remember reading, here, let me just fish it out here, my bad. It's this one book from this one billionaire called Charlie Munger, who was basically just insanely successful person, right? He's made like $100 billion. And one of the things he said, which was so basically just mind-blowing in this book, was rich people get rich because they value their time more than their poor selves. And what this basically means is that if you look around you, everybody who is currently not satisfied with where they are is there because they value their time less than successful people. Let me give you an analogy to show you this. Imagine your life, and this I learned this from that book right here, the billionaire one, is imagine your life is like an asteroid hurtling through space. That asteroid, let's say when it starts moving, if you just tilt that asteroid by just 1 degree, that will basically determine whether or not it hits Earth. And basically what this means is, as the asteroid moves along, that represents your life passing by. So in your teenage years, just making a 1 degree adjustment will determine whether or not you become a successful person or whether or not you fail. And so if you think about it, as you move through life, the harder it becomes to make changes. So let's say if you were to be 75 years old and you wasted your entire life and you're obese, it's really hard to change that. But the thing that I learned is that, especially in your teen years, if you just lock in earlier than everybody else, you're going to make so much more progress than everybody else around you. And this is such a huge opportunity, because think about the people around you right now, all of your friends. One of them is probably busting a nut right now. One of them is probably on their phone doom scrolling for the past 6 hours. One of them is probably on their 9th hour of Genshin Impact today. If you just lock in, you're going to make more progress than these people because their life is going downhill. And so this is the biggest opportunity and the most important lesson I've learned from these millionaires, which is, if you just value your time more than the people around you, you will become more successful than them. And it seems like common sense, but what I found was that there's so many people around you telling you shit like, oh, just enjoy your teen years. Oh, it's just a little bit of fun. And the people that say this stuff aren't successful. Think about it. The white depressed teacher that's telling you, oh, just enjoy your teen years. Oh, just party through your 20s. That teacher isn't happy with herself. In fact, that teacher isn't somebody you want to be like, right? And so this sort of ties back to that first rule, which is to stop following what everybody else does, which is, you need to value your time more highly than what the other people in your life do. And so the action step I'm going to give you that I did is, I had to stop lying to myself about my addictions. See, I remember for years I was like this gaming addict. I had probably been eating like pounds of junk food every single week. I was like doom scrolling on YouTube hours every single day. But the worst thing about that was, I lied to myself about it. I told myself, oh, it's just 1 hour a day, when in reality, I was on games for like 10 hours a day. I remember saying like, oh, but it's just to unwind after a hard school day. Although, that was literally ruining my life. Me unwinding was making me fat. Me eating the junk food was literally making my life worse. And so, what my action step is right now is, if you want to actually emulate these successful people, the only way I've seen these people become successful is through locking in earlier than everybody else. And this is going to be something you don't want to do. You're going to feel all nice about me saying this, and then 2 hours later, you're going to go back to playing video games 8 hours a day. But if at least, at the very least, if you just stop lying to yourself about gaming, about junk food. Oh, gaming makes me more creative. No, bro, it doesn't. Oh, bro, it's just an hour a day. No, bro, it's like 4. When you stop lying to yourself about these addictions, that's when you're going to start making progress. And so those are 3 biggest lessons that I've learned from studying millionaires for the past 3 years. And if this video has been of any value to you, bro, just go down and subscribe right now, because my goal is just to help teenagers and kids just like younger me surpass the people around me and make more progress than I did. Because if you don't know who I was, bro, I was exactly like you. I've gone through every single hard addiction, every single fat shaming session that you might have. And so if you want more value just like this from somebody who can actually relate to you, then go down and subscribe right now. As always, my name's Atharv. See you soon, bro.